Welcome to the Gemara on Yudzalat Amud Bet. We're starting 13 lines up from the bottom of the Amud, beginning with Amar Rav Nachman, and this is following up on the discussion of the female prophetesses who prophesied for Israel. Amar Rav Nachman, Lo Ya'eh Yehorata L'Nashe. Rashi translates this word Yehorata. He actually has a slightly different girsa. He says Yehora, Lo Na'eh Yehora L'Nashe. So it's not nice, or it's not appropriate for women to be important. It's not like it doesn't become them. Usually the word yohara is translated as arrogance or haughtiness, but here it's translated as like being important. So he says that's not a nice thing to happen to a woman. Tarte nashi hiran havyan. There were two women who were important, Visanyan Shmaihu, and their names were ugly. Chada, one of them, Shmazi Barata, her name was bee, meaning it's a reference to Devorah, whose name means bee. The Chada, and the other one, Shma Karkushta, her name was Weasel, and that's a reference to Hulda, whose name means weasel. Zibarata, so this bee woman, Devorah, Ktiv Ba, says about her, Batishlach Batikra LeBarak. She sent and she called for Barak. V'ilu ihi Lo Azalagabe, and she did not go to him. So it would have been more respectful for her to go if she wanted to speak to Barak to go to him, but she called and had him come to her. Karkushta, and what about Hulda? Ktiv ba imrula ish, say to that man. That's what she said to the messengers who were sent to her. V'lo amra imrula melech, and she didn't say tell the king, meaning she knew it was the king who had sent these messengers, and she still didn't refer to him that way. Amar Rav Nachman, Hulda mibnei banav shel Yehoshua haita. Hulda was a descendant of Yehoshua's. Ktiv hacha, it says here, ben Charchas, reference to Hulda herself. It's a reference to her husband's lineage. You can see the pasuk down here, that Hulda Hanaviyah, Eshet Shalom, so she was the wife of Shalom, ben Tikva ben Charchas. So Charchas is a name in his lineage. Uktiv Hatam, and it says there, B'Timnat Cheres, that Yehoshua was buried in Timnat Cheres. Actually, the word is a little different in the pasuk itself, but that's where he was buried because that was his Nachalah. So it's not a direct lineage. It's not actually saying anywhere in the verses that she was descended from him, but the Gemara takes this as sort of an associative link, that since the same word is mentioned, they must have been related. She must have been a descendant of his. Eitave Rav Eina Saba, Rav Nachman. Rav Eina Saba, so Rav Eina, the old man, contradicted Rav Nachman. Shmona Nevi'im, Vehem Kohanim, Yatsu Merachav Hazonah. So he's giving a different tradition about descendants, and he says there were 8 prophets who were also Kohanim, who were descended from Rachav. Rachav the Zona, Rachav the innkeeper, Rachav of fame from Sefer Yehoshua. There were 8 who were descended from her. The Eluhen, and here they are: Neria, Baruch, Visiria, Mechasya, Yirmiyah, Chilkiah, Chanamel, Bishalum. So these were the 8 who were descended from her. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Af Hulda Hanaviyah, Mivnei B'nei Shel Rachav Hazonah Haita. And Rabbi Yehuda says, also Hulda the prophetess was from the descendants of Rachav Hazonah. So this is a contradiction because it seems like she was descended from Rachav. So how could Rav Nachman think that she was actually descended from Yehoshua? Ktiv hacha ben tikva, uktiv hatam et tikvat chut hashani. So this is a proof that she was actually descended from Rachav, because it says in the pasuk we saw earlier about the relations of Hulda ben Tikva, son of Tikva, and it says about Rachav et tikvat chut hashani. Right, that's a reference to the thread, the cord that she had, the red cord that she had coming out of her window. So again, it's associative, it's not direct, but this should lead us to believe that Hulda was actually descended from Rachav and not from Yehoshua. Amar le. So Rav Nachman said back to him, Eina Saba, right? Eina, you old man. The Amrila, and some say that what he actually said was Pacha Uchma, black pot, black vessel. Mini uminach, tistayem shmata, Igara Vinasva Yoshua. Between me and you, right, if we sort of take what you said and what I said together, Tistayem Shmata, then the learning is complete, the tradition is complete. The Igaira, that because she, Rachav, converted, Vinasva Yoshua, and she actually married Yoshua. So like it's good, you take what we said together, right? And putting it together, she was actually descended from both of them because they were husband and wife. Umi havu zar Yoshua, and did Yehoshua actually have children? Did he really have any descendants? The Haktiv, doesn't it say in Divrei Hayamim, Nun b'no Yehoshua b'no? So this is a quote from Divrei Hayamim. Put it in yellow. That Nun's son was Yoshua, and so it sounds like there were no children after Yoshua. It sounds like he didn't actually have any kids. Banai lo havule, b'natan havule. So the Gemara resolves this. No, he didn't have any sons, but he did have daughters, right? And that's how Cholda winds up being one of his descendants. Okay, moving on in the Gemara. Bishama inhu mefarshe, ela avataihu minala. So it makes sense, as we've explained. We understand them. The them here is a reference to that whole list of prophets that was given in the opinion that we just had, the opinion quoted by Eina Saba, right? That all of these Nevi'im here, Shemona Nevi'im, Vehem Kohanim, right? All these Nevi'im descended from Rachav. These are all known to be prophets. So Bishlama Inhu Mefarshe, these are all explained. Ela Avhataihu Minalan, but their fathers, how do we know it? Meaning, some of them on the list are really described as prophets per se. Yirmiyahu, Chanamel, Baruch, and Sariah are all actually described as Nevi'im. But the ones who are on the list, but it's really their fathers, how do we know that they're prophets? Kidu Ula, as Ula said, Da'amar Ula, because we have the statement of Ula, Kol makom sheshmo v'shem aviv b'nevi'ut, b'yadua shehu navi ben navi. Every time you have a Navi listed in Tanakh with his father's name, right? So Shmo, his name, and his father's name in the context of Navi'ut, then it's clear, it's obvious that he's a Navi, the son of a Navi, right? That's an indication that his father is also a Navi. Shmo v'lo shem aviv, but if you have just the prophet's name and not his father's name, b'yadua shehu Navi v'lo ben Navi, then it's clear that he's a Navi, but his father was not a Navi. Shmo v'shem Miro, if you have his name and the name of his city, mifurash b'yadua shehu me'otah ha'ir, then it's clear that he's from that city. Shmo v'lo shem Miro, but if you have the prophet's name and you don't have the name of his city, b'yadua shehu miYerushalayim, then it's obvious that he's from Yerushalayim. So that's like the default. If it doesn't say what city a prophet is from, it must be that he is from Yerushalayim. B'matnitza Tana, it was taught in a Breita, continuing with this theme of parents and children. Kol shema asav u'maaseh avotav stumin, u'parat lecha hakatuv be'echad mehen, v'shavach. Any time that you have the deeds, his deeds and the deeds of his father are not made clear, right? Are not made obvious. Stumin, they're like sort of kept closed off. And then the pasuk specifies that one of them, either the father or the son, was good, right? Praises them, shavach, like in the case of Tzefania here. Devar Hashem asher haya el Tzefania ben Kushi ben Gedalia. So the word of God came to Tzefania and it gives his lineage. Biyadu ashehu tzaddik ben tzaddik. Then it's clear that he's a tzaddik, the son of a tzaddik, meaning it listed them all together, but it only told you about the deeds of one of them. So it was meant to cover all of them, and in that case, if it singled out one of them as being good, it means they're all good. The kol sheparatacha hakatuv be'achad mehen lignai, and if the pasuk singles out one of them in a positive way, in a negative way, lignai, kigon, like this example in Yirmiyahu. Vayhi b'chodesh hashvi'i ba Yishmael ben Netanya ben Elishama, in the 7th month, and it gives Yishmael's lineage. Biyadua shehu Rasha, ben Rasha. So then it's known that he's a Rasha, the son of a Rasha, right? So Yishmael is the one who came and murdered Gedaliah, Gedaliah ben Achikam. That was a bad thing that he did. And so this is where we get Tzom Gedaliah from. The fast of Gedaliah was because he was murdered, which is sort of the beginning of the end for the Jews at that point, and it was Yishmael who did it. So since it specifies his deeds as being bad, B'yadua shehu Rasha ben Rasha, it's then clear that he's a wicked person, son of a wicked person. His father was also wicked. Amar Rav Nachman. That's our theme right now. Statements of Rav Nachman about lineage and names and things like that. Malachi ze Mordechai. Malachi is Mordechai. Malachi, the prophet Malachi, was actually the same person as Mordechai. V'lama nikra shemo Malachi, and why was he called Malachi if he was really Mordechai? Shehaya mishneh lamelech, because he was second in command to the king. So he was as important as almost as important as the king. Maybe there's a play on words with malach, malachi, like an angel. Okay. Meitzveh, there's a contradiction raised. Baruch ben Neriah, v'Saraya ben Masya, v'Daniel u'Mordechai, Balshan v'Chagai, Zachariah u'Malachi, kulan yitnabu b'shnat shtayim l'Daryavish. All of these prophets, and it lists all of these people, they all prophesied in the 2nd year of Daryavish's reign. But the fact that they were all on this list means that none of them can be the same person, right? And Mordechai's on this list, and so is Malachi. So it seems like they have to be separate people. Tiyufta, yep, that's a contradiction. We killed the earlier statement. Mordechai can't actually be Malachi. That doesn't work. Tanya. We taught in a Breita. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, Malachi ze Ezra. So here's another opinion about who he might be. Sorry, I'll actually put this in red, which I haven't been doing with the Tanaic material. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha said Malachi is actually Ezra. They're the same person. V'chachamim omrim Malachi shemo, and the rabbi said Malachi was his name. So they're the same person, and maybe Malachi was his actual. And so according to the first opinion, they're the same person. But the Chachamim say Malachi was actually his name, meaning he's not the same person. It's not a dual identity. But Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha thinks that Malachi and Ezra are the same person. Amar Rav Nachman, Mistabra Kamanza Amar Malachi ze Ezra. It makes sense according to the one who says, which in this case is Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, that Malachi is actually Ezra. Tichtiv b'neviot Malachi. As it says in the prophecies of Malachi. So as it says there, Bagda Yehuda v'toivana sta b'Yisrael u'v'Yerushalayim ki chala Yehuda kodesh Hashem asher hev u'bal bat el nechar. So this whole pasuk comes from Malachi, and it's a bad thing. It's complaining about Yehuda. Yehuda has sort of been a traitor, and a bad thing's been done in Israel and in Yerushalayim, because Yehuda has Halal Kodesh Hashem, like profaned God's name, and by marrying non-Jewish women, by marrying into Gentiles. Uman afrish nashim nochriot, and who separated out these Gentile women? Like, who made them separate? Ezra. Famously, that was Ezra who made Jewish men separate from their non-Jewish wives. Tichtiv, as it says in Ezra, specifically about Ezra's actions. Vayan Shchanya ben Yechiel mibnei Elam vayomer LaEzra anachnu ma'alnu be'Elokeinu noshav nashim nochriot. So this pasuk from Ezra, basically admitting guilt, that this man says to Ezra, yeah, we've sinned against God, and we've taken in nashim nochriot, foreign women, non-Jewish women. So that makes the case that Ezra and Malachi were the same person. Tana Rabbanan, a new Braita, Arba nashim yefifiyot hayu ba'olam. There were 4 beautiful women in the world. Sarah, the Esther. Oh, sorry, it's supposed to be, this is in parentheses, but Sarah, Abigail, Rachav, and Esther. Those are the 4 women on the list. Those were the 4 women who were known to be beautiful. Ulamans Amar Esther Yarroket Haita, and for the one who says that Esther was green, if you remember earlier, a few dapim earlier, we learned one tradition that Esther was not actually that beautiful. She was actually green, but it was sort of like a divine intervention thing that she looked so beautiful to everyone. It was her inner beauty kind of shining through. So if you believe that, then Mefik Esther Uma Ayal Vashi, then you have to take out Esther and put in Vashti. And maybe instead of Esther being one of the beautiful women, it was Vashti, but we keep the list at 4 either way. Definitely 4 beautiful women. It was either Sarah, Abigail, Rachav, and Esther, or Sarah, Abigail, Rachav, and Vashti. Tanu Rabbanan, more Braita. Rachav b'shma zinta, Yael b'kola, Abigail b'schirata, Michal bat Shaul b'ri'iyata. So interesting. We have a different list here, but Rachav was she was promiscuous. Is probably the best literal translation of this word zinta. She was promiscuous, although interestingly, the way it seems to be translated by the Mefarshim here is that she was attractive to men, like men lusted after her because of her name. So it's not that she actually was, promiscuous with her name, which presumably wasn't actually her choice, but there was something very sexual about her name. We'll say it that way. Yael b'kola, and for Yael, the thing that made men lust after her was her voice. Avigail b'schirata. For Abigail, it was just thinking about her, remembering the things that she did. And for Michal, it was her appearance. It was the way she looked. So each one of these women had something extremely sexual about them, and that's what it was. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak said, Kol ha'omer Rachav Rachav miyad nikre. Anyone who said Rachav Rachav, anyone who repeated her name, multiple times, would immediately have a seminal discharge. Would immediately, meaning that anyone here is a man, and that man would be so turned on that he would immediately have like a nocturnal emission or whatever. He would immediately emit semen. That's how sexy her name is, because again, it's Rachav b'shma zinta. Just her name is attractive to men. Amar le Rav Nachman says back to him, Ana amina Rachav Rachav v'lo ichpat li. No, not really, not so much. I say Rachav Rachav, and nothing happens to me. I don't care about it. Amar le, so Rabbi Yitzchak says back to him, Ki ka'amina biyodah v'makira. Says no. When I said that, I meant someone who knows her and is familiar with her. Right? Not just, I didn't mean just saying her name if you were reading about her as a biblical character, but for a man who really knew her, it was, just saying her name was sexy enough that it would cause a seminal emission. Okay, I'll stop there.